All right. Hello, everyone, my best birds, fishes, and bugs. The very first video in the Harry Potter Magic Awakened commentary series, where I will be explaining all the chapters and seasons of Harry Potter Magic Awakened in the context of my character, Callum Acres. This video is obviously the first, so it'll be a little bit of an intro to what this series of what I hope is a series will probably be, as well as a watch of the first story sequence and everything that comes before it, at least the important bits. But first, some disclaimers, because one, as you can probably see, this is not going to be professional at all. I am currently using a Google Slideshow as my title card because I'm not starting in the game. So, there's your insight into what the quality will be like. Number two, J.K. Rowling, horrible person. All of this is my way of taking the series and what it exists as my own, because this is important context to how Callum exists as a character in his story. And I do unfortunately love this game as a guilty pleasure of mine, but I give no monetary support to the game itself, and I only play it, which if you are uncomfortable with or don't support, I apologize, but that's what this is going to be. Well, I'll explain everything else later. We're just going to hop right in because otherwise I'm going to keep trailing off. So, this game, just a little context, it was open for really only a year. It had a long beta period in China. It released worldwide in 2023, but was taken out of the American, Europe, and Oceania, I guess, scope, availability. You weren't able to play it anymore after 2024. And though you can technically play it today, it is on PC through the publisher's emulator, and it is not a great game anymore, I'd say. It's actually very frustrating to play most of the time because of some of its choices, but we will probably talk about those in later installments. Okay, so the game's intro used to be really great, in my opinion. It was a great intro to the game because it did the classic move of introducing you to the game and all its mechanics and the world as your character was going into Hogwarts. You know, classic. First, not only like Harry Potter's going to school. This is just like the books, guys. Isn't this so exciting? But also like, here's our game in Harry Potter. This is you. Come on, like let's teach you some things. They've since changed the intro. It's a lot glitchier and laggy now. It's not as high quality. I tried doing it and recording it. No commentary for just to have it, and it was painful to watch because they took out entire sequences. So I will be using a wonderful video from the YouTuber TapGamePlay videos. I'll be using two just to show what that original sequence looked like, and also of what Callum would be seeing as before he gets to Hogwarts, because Callum, in Harry Potter terms, is a Muggle. He is comes from a non-magical family where he was randomly born with his magical powers, or magical ability, and so all of this is new to him. And also, I just like the intro to the game because it introduces you to the characters, specifically Daniel. And so we're just gonna start looking at this. Again, not my gameplay nor my video. Remember this. So, Callum grew up in a very happy household with his two parents. He's a very outgoing kid, very friendly, very like, yes, let's go do this. I'm so excited, happy-go-lucky, sunshine. Um, with that in mind, I do think since he is the only magical person in what he knows a magical, well, only magical person in a non-magical set environment, he would probably feel a little outcasted, a little strange when these strange things happen to him that he can't explain, his parents can't explain, because involuntary magic is a thing to show the beginning signs of young wizards and witches. I should probably find better terms for that, because those are kind of sexist. Anyways, so yes, he wants to find a place where he belongs, but he does belong at home. My goodness, I should have turned off my phone. So keep that in mind that he is very happy. He's not, I don't think he'd be whispered about, not necessarily. But he does kind of feel like there's some strange things that happen with me, and I'd kind of like to know what those are, because no one quite understands what this part of me is. And in comes Hagrid. For him, Callum would not be kept in a cupboard, as they're trying to imply or reference to. Alright, so here obviously Hagrid is the one handing Callum his letter. I don't really see how this would make sense other beyond just this is the game, like, oh my goodness, it's Hagrid, this is like you're being Harry Potter right now, he's giving you your letter, because Callum's parents would not have tried to shut out every single letter from Hogwarts like Harry's guardians would have, looking at you, Dursleys. So this is a little strange, but I also have an idea that the class, the year that Callum is a very small year, and Callum is, I believe, the only complete non-magical person. Like, he's the only Muggle born, again, to use Harry Potter terms. So it doesn't seem too strange to me that in a case where I think there's only like, I'm going to say 10 people in his year, that he would get a little special treatment of having Hagrid come to his house and deliver his letter in person. In the canon of this events in my storyline, I guess, Callum's parents would be very involved. They, probably would have come up with Hagrid to Callum's room and been like, hey, you're being accepted into a magical school. Magic exists, because I can't imagine, or I'd at least hope Hogwarts has a process of informing parents, willing parents on the existence of the magical world if their child is magical. And Callum's parents would be very open about it. So we're just, keep that in mind. And I'm going to skip ahead here, because this is just where you pick your name, that kind of thing. And then you get to go to Diagon Alley with Hagrid. Right here, opening the brick wall and everything. Callum would travel with Hagrid here. Don't quite know if his parents would come with him. Maybe, maybe not. I think they'd also realize this is kind of out of their depth. Let Callum go do this thing with a person they probably trust immediately, because again, it's Hagrid and he's not going to hurt a single kid in his world. Yeah, look at that, Gringotts. So, yeah, Callum gets to go to Diagon Alley. In the game, you pick your appearance, that kind of thing. You get your wand, meet Ivy, get your first combat, first cards. Then you kind of go around, talk to some of the people. You get your owl. Callum would get the barred owl, because this is the one I pick in game, and also I think it's the best starter owl. And also all the other ones I can't physically give him in game, so he'd have a nice little barred owl. I don't have a name for it. He'd love this owl, very attached to it, very cute. Go around, probably in game you can meet some of the other students who you'll be seeing, but you only get really short conversations with them. For cataloging purposes, I will only be showing Daniel's, because this would be their first interaction. Callum and Daniel meeting for the first time. Guys, it's happening. Pause for trust there. This is Daniel gauging his reaction. And a quick deflection, because deflection and leaving, because Daniel, we'll learn this about Daniel in the game later, but he comes from a family where most of his relatives are in prison. In my storyline, at least like what I've kind of made from what the game gives us, Daniel, his father's side, was a crime family, like a actual gang in London. But his mother also is a part of crime in the wizarding world. So crime on both sides. And shortly before Hogwarts, like I think a year before, like roughly a year before all of like this, his parents would have been caught and put in jail. And he would have had to deal with the aftermath of everyone around him finding out, oh, your parents were criminals. So you're automatically, like, you were part of that, I guess? I don't trust you anymore. My parents say I can't hang out with you. Sorry, I can't be your friend anymore. I'm going to beat you up because you don't have a scary family to protect you anymore. What, you weren't good enough to go with them to jail? Yeah, kids can be cruel. So I imagine Daniel would have had a big fallout socially of losing a lot of connections. Basically, everyone besides him and his sister would kind of either be taken away from them or leave them alone or become antagonistic towards them even because of the fallout of his family and all of that. Because it was we do know in universe it was a big event in the Muggle world when his family was ratted out because they were a crime family. So yeah, quick little introduction to each of the characters. Callum gets everything he needs in Diagon Alley, and then he's off to the train, which the train was removed from the new game intro, so that's why, again, we're doing this. Thank you, TapGamePlay. And we're gonna skip to there. And Callum's parents would have walked him to the train and said goodbye to him. All the good stuff. There's Robin. There's the Frey twins and Cassandra. Kevin startling and hiding his face in a book. First mixing potions, making new friends. Lottie, our air-headed little artist. Adorable. And here again, this is why. Thank you, TapGamePlay, because if we skip ahead a second, he tries to talk to Daniel. Again, that is said with the context that once people knew about families, about Daniel's family and his true identity, they didn't want to be with him anymore. So this whole sequence here, these bits before going to Hogwarts, is Daniel trying to protect himself. He doesn't want people to know who he is. He doesn't want people... Obviously, he tells them his last name, but he's hoping with the separation between the magical and the non-magical world that people won't know his name. But he's staying distant right now. He doesn't quite want to open himself up yet if he knows people are just going to realize the same things about him and immediately back out. He isn't used at this point, again, to having friends. So he's being a little reclusive. He's sticking to himself, and I think Callum would try and sit with him on the train, but Daniel would say, no, you don't want to sit with me. And kind of tell him to go away in a very self-demeaning manner. Yes. Then, after failing to... Here, we'll go ahead and show Lottie. He'd probably try and sit with Lottie. Yeah. So unfortunately, after not being able to find any seats, he would find Ivy instead. Or Ivy would find him. They did. Callum would be nervous. This is, first off, the first time he is going off to a private school away from his parents completely. He loves his parents. His parents are very supportive of him and are very affectionate and loving. He is dependent on his parents still. And so this is, as you can imagine, for any 11-year-old going to Hogwarts, this is a very big change. He didn't know this world existed till, I don't know, 2 days ago. And now he's being shipped off to a school for people like him. In a world he's had no interaction with again till now. So he is a little nervous. He's meeting all these people, and he's like, you know what? I'm a little scared, but I'm going to keep rolling because that's who Callum is. And I think this next bit, just obviously arrival to Hogwarts. And also the game, like, cinematic intro, I think. Thank you for the beautiful song, Sorting Hat. So here, again, go back a couple seconds, sorry. We see... This is our cast for our year. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kids total. Well, plus Ivy, which is 8, and plus an NPC who technically is in your year, so around 9. We're going to say around 10 kids for this entire year, which would make sense because this year in Hogwarts is 10 years after the Battle of Hogwarts, aka the height of the second Wizarding World, where I don't think a lot of parents would be trying to have kids. At least magical parents. And yeah, you know what? This year, they just have a small class in Hogwarts, okay? Let's just keep that in mind. Also, they're all 11. Let's remember that. Oh, about that. Ooh. Also very true. Callum has... Wait, Callum would have no idea who Harry Potter is. That's so funny. Hi, Snape. Rah! Hate him. Not really. He's complicated. I do hate Dumbledore. Oh, look at Daniel. All right. Oh. All right. Callum would be okay. Well, first Callum would go first in line, I think, because his last name is Acres. So alphabetically, he would be first. That doesn't really matter though. Callum gets sorted into Hufflepuff because I'm a Hufflepuff, and also Hufflepuff, um, underrated, and also that's just how it is, guys. And along with him, Daniel would be sorted into Hufflepuff, as well as Lottie and Ivy, though we will see in a second that Ivy doesn't quite get sorted yet. Robin and Kevin go into Gryffindor, and Cassandra, Colby, and Fisher go into Slytherin. So, unfortunately, out of the main cast, there is no one who goes in the Ravenclaw. Um, Technically, I could change it because this game, it defaults that your main circle, aka Daniel and Ivy, are sorted into whatever house you're in. But narratively, it really isn't that important for my/our purposes. So Ivy could very well go into Ravenclaw. I do see a lot of people doing that regardless of their character and what their house is. Daniel, however, would stay in Hufflepuff. People try and put him in Gryffindor, but no. Hufflepuff's one of Hufflepuff's main qualities is loyalty, and that is one of Daniel's main qualities. So he's staying in Hufflepuff. Sorry, guys. Here, TapGamePlay gets his house. Oh, he got Hufflepuff. Look at that. How accurate to us. Oh. Ivy? Ivy, where are you? What happened, girl? You were right here. And just like that, first night of Hogwarts, Ivy's missing. We don't know where she is. That response is relatively accurate. Callum is still very nervous, I think, the first night. Ivy is still someone he just met, even though they were quickly becoming very fast friends. So, I think he'd be worried about her, but I don't think he'd be ready to jump out into this giant castle yet to go find her. At least he would be thinking that the first night. But it's bedtime for him. Listen to him yawn. Little 11-year-old. Oh. And of course, he would be in the male Hufflepuff dormitory with Daniel. So Daniel would technically be here. But you know, first day, first time for classes. Or first day of classes. So I don't know what's happening here. But Daniel does eventually come in. Yeah, that's just the game there. Notice that you don't want to be late to your first class. That's still Daniel, keeping a little bit of separation between the two of them. Obviously, since they've been sorted in the same house, and there's literally the two of them alone in their dorm, I think Daniel will be realizing, okay, I should probably get to know this guy. He seems friendly. He's been nice to me so far. But you know, I'm still nervous about this too. So, you know, first your class, and then we don't want to be late. So, you know, things are starting slowly. These guys just met each other. They're getting to know each other. And then I think it's charms first, or wait, Daniel line? So Daniel, his mother was magical, Kalina. So she would be able to tell him about Hogwarts before he came here. He would have more knowledge about the magical world and Hogwarts in general, much more than Callum. So, you know, he's kind of be like, okay, come on, we got like this is what's expected of us first day. We gotta go. You know, just that kind of thing. And yeah, they do have charms first. Believe. Yeah, you hallucinate to Harry Potter because apparently you know who he is. And then, after that, here first Cassandra interaction. I don't know if this is worth sharing. There's 3 of them. Look at them. Tiny, tiny little class of first years starting to get to know each other. And you know what? I realized I don't want to hear from this girl. So we're gonna move on. Oh, goodness. My face. Obviously, this is, again, not my video. This is a video from TapGamePlay. If you really want to see the entire intro to the game, you can watch it. But to speed things up, Callum goes through his first day. First classes, establishes relationships with a lot more people. I think this is kind of the start to an antagonistic relationship with Cassandra, because Cassandra is Cassandra. Yeah, I don't like her. She's kind of mean. But after that, Ivy isn't back, you know, in the dorms, and hasn't been found by that night. So, you know what? It's time to take things into our own hands. So, go here. Skip forward just a little bit. Also, again, TapGameplay's video, not mine. Part 2 of his no commentary. So yeah, this mindset here of, okay, I'm going to do something now, comes from probably, this is Hogwarts, the first day itself of learning magic and learning to harness this, probably kind of gives Callum the confidence to move past the nervousness of, you know, everything new happening, to be like, I'm magical. I can do something. This is like, I have this new power in me. I'm more capable than I thought I'd be if I just, you know, was a normal kid going through these magical halls. He's now seen parts of the castle, has gotten to know more of his friends, they're all kind of acquaintances now, but friends to be. So he's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go look for Ivy, and I'm gonna do it with the rest of my friends too. Cause we're worried about her. We're a small little class and we gotta stick together. So, here, first time, here's Callum! Look at him. He looks very pale in this lighting. Remember, Callum is canned. But we're gonna get to our first story.